The mansion was always quiet. Too quiet. For a house that stretched across acres of land, with chandeliers glittering in every hall and rooms that looked like they belonged in magazines, there was an emptiness that weighed down like a heavy curtain. Edward Kingsley, one of the wealthiest men in the city, lived there alone with his 10-year-old daughter, Amelia. Amelia had been in a wheelchair since birth. She was bright, full of curiosity, and her smile could light up the darkest room, but her condition had stolen something precious, her ability to run, to dance, to live like other children. Since her mother had passed away years ago, Edward had buried himself in work, believing that showering Amelia with wealth, toys, and luxury would fill the void. But no amount of dolls, gadgets, or grand birthday parties without friends could mask Amelia's loneliness. One rainy evening, as Edward returned from a long business trip, he entered his home expecting the usual silence. Instead, as he set down his suitcase, he froze. From upstairs, a sound echoed down the marble staircase. It was faint at first, but unmistakable, laughter. A child's laughter, his daughter's laughter. It was a sound he hadn't heard in months. Heart pounding, Edward climbed the staircase slowly, afraid that the moment might vanish if he rushed. As he reached Amelia's room, the sound grew louder. He pushed the door open just a little, and what he saw made him stop in his tracks. There, in the middle of the room, his maid Clara was twirling around with Amelia in her arms. They were laughing, spinning, moving to a soft tune playing from an old radio. Clara wasn't just dancing, she was making Amelia feel as though she was dancing too, lifting her, moving her wheelchair rhythmically, and letting her tiny feet touch the ground in small, gentle steps. Amelia's face was glowing with joy, her hair flying as she squealed, "Again, Clara, again." Edward's chest tightened. He had never seen his daughter so alive, so free. For years, he had paid for the best tutors, the most expensive doctors, the finest toys, but none of it had given her this. He had given her comfort, but Clara was giving her happiness. That night, Edward quietly retreated, leaning against the wall in the hallway. For the first time in years, tears rolled down his cheeks. He realized how distant he had become from Amelia's world, convincing himself that his work and wealth were enough. But in reality, he had been running away, from his grief, from fatherhood, from the pain of seeing his daughter suffer. The next morning, Edward entered Amelia's room earlier than usual. She was still glowing from the night before, excitedly telling Clara about wanting to dance at a real party one day. Clara turned, slightly embarrassed to see her employer listening. She bowed her head, apologizing if she had overstepped. But Edward surprised them both. He walked over, knelt down in front of Amelia, and said, "Sweetheart, would you like to dance with me too?" Amelia's eyes widened, and Clara's hand flew to her mouth in shock. Slowly, Edward took his daughter's hands, and together with Clara's help, he moved her wheelchair to the rhythm of the same old tune. Amelia's laughter once again filled the air, and Edward felt something inside him break open, something he thought had died with his wife. From that day forward, everything changed. Edward no longer buried himself in work. Instead, he set time aside each evening to be with Amelia. Clara became more than just a maid, she became part of the family, teaching Amelia small dances, turning chores into games, and bringing light into the mansion. Edward started organizing little gatherings, inviting children from charities and hospitals so Amelia could have friends who understood her struggles. The once empty mansion became a home filled with laughter, music, and love. But the true test came months later when Amelia expressed a dream that left Edward speechless. She wanted to perform a small dance at her school's talent show. Fear gripped him. What if she was laughed at? What if she fell? What if her fragile heart broke? He almost said no. It was Clara who stopped him. "Sir, she doesn't want perfection. She just wants a chance to feel normal. To be seen. To shine." So they prepared. Clara practiced with Amelia every day, teaching her movements that worked with her wheelchair, combining grace with strength. Edward sat in on rehearsals, clapping, cheering, and even joining in at times. Slowly, he saw his daughter's confidence blossom. When the day came, Edward sat in the front row, his hands trembling. As the lights dimmed and Amelia wheeled herself onto the stage, the crowd fell silent. Music began, and with Clara guiding from the side, Amelia began her routine. She twirled her chair, moved her arms gracefully, and at one point, with Clara's hidden support, stood for a few seconds, holding her father's gaze proudly. The audience erupted in applause, some wiping tears, but none louder than Edward. He was on his feet, clapping until his hands hurt, shouting, "That's my daughter." That night, as Amelia held her little trophy close, she whispered, "Daddy, thank you for letting me dance." Edward pulled her close, his voice breaking. "No, my angel, thank you for teaching me how to live again." The mansion was never quiet after that. It was alive, filled with music, laughter, and the sound of a father who finally realized that love, not wealth, was the greatest gift he could give. And every evening, as the sun set, Edward would find himself dancing with Amelia and Clara in the living room, cherishing every laugh, every spin, every moment that money could never buy.